The emotional storm, Jungkook, Taehyung, and HYBE's shocking accusation rumor. What could possibly push Jungkook, the very member known for his resilience, professionalism, and composure, to a point where his emotions erupt so visibly? For many fans, the mere suggestion seems impossible. Yet a wave of controversy recently swept across the K-pop world, fueled by whispers of pointed accusations made by HYBE against none other than Taehyung. The very idea of such a conflict has left ARMY stunned, sparking an emotional firestorm online. In an industry defined by secrecy, high stakes, and relentless pressure, even the faintest rumor carries enormous weight. So when this alleged confrontation surfaced, it felt like a storyline too sharp, too intense, and too damaging to be ignored. At the heart of it was not only the portrayal of Taehyung as a figure under suspicion, but also Jungkook's rumored unfiltered reaction, a reaction that shook fans to their core. But what exactly was said? And why would Jungkook, a member who has mastered the art of keeping calm under the heaviest spotlight, allegedly lose his composure in such a dramatic way? The spark of the controversy. The story began with claims that HYBE shifted its tone in a way that placed Taehyung under a dark cloud. Narratives circulated online describing him as the root of certain internal disruptions, a framing that felt like a direct strike against his character and loyalty. For years, BTS had stood as an unshakable symbol of unity, balancing their private struggles with an image of perfect togetherness. But this rumor suggested that HYBE had broken that balance, leaving cracks in the once polished surface, and that was where Jungkook came in. At public appearances, subtle hints of unease were said to show through. His jaw clenched, his eyes heavy with unspoken weight, his demeanor less composed than fans were used to seeing. For someone often considered the group's stabilizer, even the smallest flicker of visible frustration became impossible to ignore. Clips began spreading online, dissected frame by frame. Was Jungkook really angry? Was this his way of standing up for Taehyung? Suddenly, a new narrative formed. Jungkook had finally reached a breaking point. Loyalty in the face of betrayal. The heart of the speculation wasn't just about corporate maneuvering. It was about betrayal, or at least the perception of it. Taehyung, an artist celebrated for his authenticity, suddenly painted as a disruptor? The framing alone sent alarms across ARMY communities. To fans, it didn't just seem unfair. It seemed calculated, as though the intention was to isolate him from the group's collective identity. And in that light, Jungkook's supposed reaction no longer seemed like an impulsive burst of anger, but rather a deeply human moment of defiance. For him to show frustration, disappointment, and visible anger toward such treatment was, to many, proof of loyalty. Proof that he would not sit silently when someone he values was under attack. But this immediately led to another haunting question. Was this the moment that revealed real fractures beneath BTS's carefully crafted image of unity? The fan response across social media, debate erupted. Thousands of posts flooded timelines, analyzing Jungkook's every expression and Taehyung's every word. Some fans believed the story completely, convinced that HYBE had indeed turned against Taehyung. Others urged caution, pointing out how little solid evidence existed. Still, the emotional wave was undeniable. Jungkook's rumored reaction, silent at first, then marked by flashes of visible frustration, quickly became the centerpiece of the conversation. Fan-made edits, threads, and discussion videos popped up everywhere, each trying to decode his state of mind. Some saw his aura as defiance, others interpreted it as grief. Regardless of perspective, the emotional connection was strong. This wasn't just about an accusation. It was about loyalty, justice, and the invisible bonds between BTS members. A turning point in the narrative. Industry observers soon described this as a possible turning point. For years, BTS had walked the line between their personal realities and the polished image shaped by corporate messaging. But Jungkook's visible response, if true, suggested that even the most controlled environments have limits. Could this be the signal that silence was no longer an option? The implications went far beyond Taehyung alone. HYBE's alleged targeting of one member destabilized the perception of BTS's unity, creating ripple effects across the industry. If true, it would reveal a darker layer of conflict, where loyalty and betrayal clashed under the harsh spotlight of global fame. Yet the most striking element wasn't the accusation itself. It was Jungkook's rumored inability to stay silent. His emotional authenticity, raw and unfiltered, resonated deeply with millions of fans around the world. In an industry often accused of being too polished, too controlled, this moment felt different. It felt real. The haunting uncertainty. As this drama unfolded, uncertainty hung heavy. What would this mean for Taehyung's reputation? Would Jungkook's defiance strain his relationship with the company? And most of all, what did it mean for the fragile balance between BTS and HYBE, a balance that had carried them from rookies to global legends? The stakes were enormous. The situation was no longer just about one accusation, but about trust itself. Trust between artist and company. Trust between idols and fans. Trust in the very narrative that had carried BTS to the world stage, the truth behind the rumor. And yet, this is where the story takes a sharp turn. Because despite the drama, despite the endless speculation, there is one undeniable fact. The narrative does not hold up under scrutiny. Upon closer examination, it becomes clear that there is no verifiable evidence that HYBE ever accused Taehyung of wrongdoing. No official statements, no credible reports from insiders. Nothing beyond speculative posts and commentary circulating in unofficial spaces online. The entire claim rests on hearsay, not facts. And what about Jungkook's so-called emotional eruption? Once again, no credible evidence exists. Jungkook has faced immense pressure on countless occasions, from grueling world tours to global controversies, yet he has always maintained composure in public. To suggest that he would suddenly erupt in anger at a corporate accusation, especially without any reliable documentation, feels more like a fabricated storyline than a reflection of reality. Moreover, the framing of HYBE deliberately turning on Taehyung contradicts the company's very interests. BTS is their crown jewel, and Taehyung is an integral part of the group's success. Publicly targeting one member would undermine not only his reputation, but also the company's brand and business model. The power and danger of speculation. So why did this story spread so quickly? The answer lies in the mechanics of digital media. Sensational headlines crafted to provoke emotional reactions spread like wildfire. Fans, deeply protective of Jungkook and Taehyung, engaged passionately, amplifying the rumor even further. In the process, speculation became accepted as fact, even though no solid evidence existed. This is the real danger of such narratives. They don't just stir emotions, they erode trust. Fans are left questioning what's real and what's fabricated. And idols, already under immense pressure, find themselves caught in storms of misinformation they never asked for. The bigger picture. At the end of the day, this controversy reveals something bigger than just one rumor. It shows how fragile the balance is between fact and speculation in today's media environment. It highlights how quickly misinformation can spread, especially when it involves beloved figures like Jungkook and Taehyung. And it reminds us that behind every headline are real people whose reputations and emotions can be deeply affected. Jungkook's rumored outburst may not have happened, but the story itself underscores just how deeply fans care about him, about Taehyung, and about the bond that has held BTS together. The emotional investment of ARMY is powerful, but with that power comes responsibility, the responsibility to question, to verify, and to protect the truth. Conclusion. So was this really a betrayal by HYBE? Did Jungkook truly break down in anger for Taehyung? The evidence says no. But the emotions stirred by the rumor tell another story, one of loyalty, love, and the fierce bond between members that fans refuse to doubt. And perhaps that is the silver lining. Even in the face of falsehoods, the loyalty of ARMY and the unity of BTS continue to shine brighter than any rumor could dim.